This was inevitable for the Washington Wizards, as CJ McCollum just had a fantastic game against the Atlanta Hawks to give the Washington Wizards their first ever NBA Cup game victory. Yes, you heard that right. After 4 seasons of the Cup being a thing, the Wizards finally won an NBA Cup game. It took them, I think, 10, 11 games to do it, but they were able to do it, beat the Atlanta Hawks, who are no easy team to beat either. They had the 10th best defense going into the game against the Wizards. And somehow Washington was able to pull it off, not just without Keyshawn George, but also without Trey Johnson, who's going to miss some time because of a strain in his left hip flexor. He's probably going to be out for at least a month, would be my guess. So the fact they were able to do that without 2 of their best young players, arguably their best player right now in Keyshawn George as well. The fact that they were able to get this win, powered behind CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, and Alex Sarr, was insane. However, because of how CJ McCollum has been playing, it's bringing up some uncomfortable conversations that we have to have regarding CJ McCollum. And that is the fact that he is either A, going to be traded, or B, bought out and go to a contender. And we do not want the latter to happen, because you don't want to buy him out and then just let him go for absolutely nothing. You want to try to trade him and get something in return. And in this video today, I'm going to break down what exactly they can do to avoid the buyout scenario happening here. And probably, like 2 months would be my guess. What up? I'm Bryson Akins, host of Wizards Digest. If you guys are just now tuning in, this first video that you've seen, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're going to try to give you daily Wizards content and news for you guys. A little bit about me. I'm a writer for, Wizards on SI, covering the team over there, credential media member. I'm going to be at some games as well, covering that team. And so it should be fun. I can give you guys some inside info, let you know what I'm hearing from sources as well, talk about anything that's going on regarding this team, as, I'll be in the locker room, I'll be at the games. I know people, within the organization as well. So that's going to help out, give you guys some inside access to this team. Without further ado, let's go ahead, get into talking about CJ McCollum a little bit, as, this is, like I said, it was inevitable to happen that we were going to have this conversation. CJ McCollum, he was either going to be traded or bought out. We kind of knew this going into the season. $30 million contract, 34 years old. Does he want to spend the last year of his contract in DC? Probably not, if we're being honest. He's probably fighting to go get a trade somewhere else, go to a contender. There are a few teams that could use, a third scoring option like CJ McCollum, who can give you 20 points a night. He's a good scorer. He's not, that great of a defender. He passes the ball all right. He does everything else all right, but he can score. He can definitely do that, and he's been proving it lately with this recent game against the Atlanta Hawks, where he had 46 points. Oops, let me pull that up. 46 points, all right? 10 of 13 from 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. It was an absolutely crazy game. However, after this game, and you guys can believe this dude or not, I find it very hard to believe him, especially considering he had me blocked and I had to go get this, screenshot from Chris Gallagher over at Knicks Digest. Go ahead and check him out as well. But it's because I've called him out in the past about starting these fake rumors, and so I don't know if this is a real rumor or not. I'm going to have to do some digging and find out. But contenders are monitoring CJ McCollum as a projected top player on the buyout market this year. Due to McCollum's $30.7 million salary, the Wizards would not be able to fetch much trade value. McCollum is averaging 24.1 points over the past 3 weeks. He's been balling out these past 3 weeks, these past couple of games. I don't know if, he's for sure not going to be traded. I do think there are some teams that'd be willing to take a chance on him and trade for him, that are willing to part with 2 second rounders, as second rounders are extremely valuable. I talked with Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings the other day on another podcast I have called All Wizards Talk. You guys check that out. And we talked about how, second round draft picks, they are extremely valuable in today's landscape of the NBA, as how you can get a ton of good players in the second round as cheap budget options to kind of help build a team around some of your stars. Well, you can try to get some more second rounders down the line, and you can also trade around 3 second rounders to move up into the first round as well, which is a possibility I think the Wizards are going to explore this upcoming draft, as this draft class is loaded with talent in that first round. If you can come away with 2, top 20 picks in that draft, you're going to have a good future ahead of yourself, especially if you have that number 1 pick and get Cameron Boozer, and then potentially Darius Acuff over at Arkansas as well. That would be a great pickup as well in the draft. You can trade up. That's why you get these second-round draft picks, and that's why I think it'd be interesting to keep monitoring him and seeing if he does get traded or bought out. And it's not like he's been playing bad either. It's not like this isn't a guy teams don't want to trade for. In almost 30 minutes a game, he's averaging 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, almost a block and steal per game combined there. Only turn the ball over 1.5 times per game. He's handling the ball very well, especially considering he's playing kind of that point guard position. He's not really a point guard. When Keyshawn George is healthy, he's running that point forward role. But when he's not, it's been CJ initiating the offense. Only 2 fouls a game. 43% from the field and 42% from 3, which really surprised me to see that number as well, as I didn't think he was shooting the 3 ball that great, but that 10 for 13 performance kind of solidified, like, yeah, he is, shooting the 3 ball pretty well. This might be the best season he's ever shot the 3-pointer as well. 34 years old, he's exiting his prime. We all know this. He's not the CJ McCollum he once was, like that first season in New Orleans, along with those, last couple of years in Portland as well. But he's still a solid player who's, making 38% of his corner threes, and almost half his shots are 3-pointers. He's a great player that would fit in on a lot of great teams. And it's not just us at the Wizards fan base and kind of camp thinking about this either. It's people from different kind of publications for different teams thinking so as well. As Quinn Everts over, at Fansided, who's covering the Portland Trail Blazers, said, CJ McCollum isn't serving much purpose on the Wizards, but maybe that's harsh. He's scoring efficiently on a team that doesn't have many guys who can score efficiently. That counts for something. But with their record now sitting at 2-15 and their net rating the worst in the league, does it really matter? Would things look or feel different if CJ McCollum weren't in the lineup? In other words, can it literally get any worse? That's not a knock on CJ either. Like I said, he's playing good basketball, but the Wizards roster at large is so far from competitive that it might behoove them to move CJ for a future pick or 2. And I agree with him. I definitely think if you are the Washington Wizards, you are looking at seeing if you can move CJ McCollum for, 2 or 3 second-round picks, which I think you could fetch that. There's also some young talent that teams don't want to use as well. There's someone that comes to mind a lot for me, and, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me. Jonathan Kuminga is a name I kind of think of regularly that could potentially fit in on the Wizards, and it doesn't seem like the Warriors want him either. I think he fits in perfectly, sliding into that, small forward role. You move Keyshawn to a point forward, maybe even a power forward role as well. You can go, a stretch 4 lineup, maybe even stretch 5 with Alex Sard there. And then maybe you draft, Darren Peterson in the draft. Maybe you secure, okay, if we can't get if we can't get Peterson first overall because you want a point guard really bad and you think he's the best player in the draft, maybe you try to trade up, like I mentioned, and go get another good point guard. Darius Acuff is one of those guys that I'm really high on going into this draft. You can get him as a point guard, and then you have, your starting point guard. You have Bilal, Keyshawn, Kuminga, and Sar as your starting 5. That's a pretty good starting 5 for the future, and maybe even getting one of AJ DeBonsa. And then maybe you move Bilal off the bench. Maybe you have DeBonsa coming off the bench. Maybe you have Kuminga coming off the bench. You don't know, but the future is bright because if you can trade CJ McCollum for a young guy and then more, future capital and drafts, such as second-round draft picks, as I mentioned, Tyler Rucker mentioned on our podcast the other day, that they are extremely valuable in the modern day NBA and draft system. If you could do that, 100% do it. I'm saying you do not want CJ McCollum to be bought out. You want to trade him. You don't want him just walk for nothing. You don't want to buy him out. Yeah, you're going to have the money free up anyways next season if you do buy him out or not trade him. But you don't want him to walk for free. You want to try to get value out of him. And the same kind of goes for Chris Middleton, even though that's a little bit of a trickier situation. But those are the 2 guys that I'm looking at being bought out and traded right now. I just want them to be traded because you don't want them going for absolutely nothing. That's all I got for this video. Do you guys personally think CJ McCollum is worth anything on the trade market right now? It's a $30 million contract, which sounds like it's hard to trade for. However, there are some bad deals in the NBA and teams that could take on a little bit of extra cap that want to move on from certain players as well that can make this work, in my opinion. That's all I got. See you guys in the next one.